The psychology of people who are deep thinkers. Have you ever felt like you are living your life in a foreign language? You are surrounded by the frantic, chattering world of surfaces, of small talk, of headlines, of the immediate and the obvious. But your native tongue, the language of your soul, is one of depth, of nuance, of pattern, of the vast, invisible currents that flow beneath the choppy surface of everyday life. You find yourself constitutionally incapable of taking things at face value. A simple conversation is never just a conversation. It is a complex tapestry of unspoken motives, hidden archetypes, and psychic undercurrents. A news event is not just an event. It is a single, visible symptom of a vast, underlying cultural pathology. To you, the world is not a collection of solid, separate objects. It is a shimmering, interconnected web of meaning, a forest of symbols, a living, breathing mystery. This is the inner world of the deep thinker. And if this description resonates with you, you have likely spent much of your life feeling like a profound and perhaps even pathological misfit. You have been told you think too much, that you are too serious, that you overanalyze everything. You have been made to feel that your natural mode of perception is a kind of neurosis, a flaw to be corrected. You have tried to adapt, to skim the surface, to engage in the breezy, effortless dance of the superficial, but it has left you feeling exhausted, inauthentic, and profoundly, achingly lonely. You live as an exile in a world that seems to celebrate the very shallowness that feels like a spiritual death to you. But what if your depth is not a flaw? What if it is a sign of a rare and profound psychological orientation, a specific kind of consciousness that has a vital and almost entirely forgotten role to play in the world? Carl Jung, the great cartographer of the soul's inner continents, understood this. He saw the deep thinker not as a neurotic, but as a person in whom the balance of the psyche was tilted, away from the external world of sensation and ego and towards the vast, mysterious, and numinous world of the collective unconscious. To understand the psychology of the deep thinker is to understand the nature of this unique consciousness. It is to see that their so-called flaws, their slowness, their solitude, their detachment from the mundane, are not signs of failure, but the necessary conditions for their sacred and difficult work, the work of plumbing the depths, of retrieving the lost treasures of the soul, and of reminding a frantic, surface-dwelling world of the immense, dark, and beautiful ocean of meaning that lies just beneath its feet. The architecture of the introverted intuitive. A mind that sees through time. To grasp the deep thinker as psychology, we must first understand the architecture of their mind. In the Jungian model of psychological types, the deep thinker is often the archetypal introverted intuitive. This is not just a personality label, it is a description of a fundamental mode of perception, a different way of experiencing reality itself. The primary function, introverted intuition, ni, is perhaps the most misunderstood and enigmatic of all the cognitive functions. It is not a process of logical, linear thought. It is a mode of perception that operates outside of time, that sees the vast overarching patterns of existence. The introverted intuitive mind is not interested in the what is of the present moment. It is captivated by the what was, the what will be, and the what could be. It is a pattern recognition machine of immense power. When it takes in data from the world, it does not see discrete facts. It sees symbols, it sees trajectories, it sees the invisible lines of causality that connect a distant past to a probable future. It is a mind that thinks in gestalts, in whole systems, in vast interconnected webs. This is why the deep thinker is so often slow to respond. The extroverted world demands immediate reactions, quick sound bites, confident surface-level answers. But the introverted intuitive's mind cannot operate at this speed. When asked a question, it does not search for a single, stored answer. It dives. It plunges into the vast, oceanic depths of the unconscious, seeking to connect the question to the entire, intricate web of its understanding. It is a process that is slow, immersive, and often completely opaque to the outside observer. While the world is waiting for a simple yes or no, the deep thinker is traversing centuries of history, exploring a dozen different philosophical frameworks, and watching 1,000 possible futures unfold in their mind's eye. Their silence is not emptiness, it is the stillness of a mind engaged in an act of profound and complex creation. This perceptual mode is both a magnificent gift and a heavy burden. The gift is a form of prophetic vision. The deep thinker is the person in the organization who sees, 6 months before anyone else, that the current strategy is doomed to fail. They are the friend who can listen to your chaotic life story and, in a single, startling sentence, articulate the central, hidden pattern that has been driving your suffering for decades. They are the artist whose work seems to capture the unspoken zeitgeist of an era. They are the canaries in the coal mine of the collective psyche, the first to sense the subtle tectonic shifts that are occurring deep beneath the surface of the culture. The burden, however, is immense. To see the pattern is to feel a profound sense of responsibility for it, yet to be utterly powerless to communicate it to a world that only believes what it can see and touch. The deep thinker lives in a state of perpetual Cassandra-like frustration, blessed with a vision that no one else can see, and therefore dismissed as a pessimist, a dreamer, or a fool. This creates a profound and painful sense of alienation, the feeling of being a time traveler, a visitor from another dimension, trapped in a world that is moving at a different speed and operating on a different set of laws. The withdrawal into the sanctuary, the sacred and necessary solitude. Faced with an external world that is both overstimulating in its superficiality and hostile to their native mode of perception, the deep thinker inevitably and necessarily withdraws. This withdrawal is not a sign of depression or misanthropy, although it can lead to both if it is not understood. It is a fundamental biological need. It is the need of the deep-sea creature to return to the crushing, silent pressure of the abyss, where it can breathe, think, and exist in its natural state. The external world, for the deep thinker, is a place of profound psychic friction. The small talk, the social rituals, the relentless focus on the mundane details of life, these are not just boring, they are physically and spiritually abrasive. It is like forcing a person with perfect pitch to listen to a symphony played horribly out of tune. It is a form of torture. To survive, they must retreat. Solitude is not a luxury for the deep thinker. It is a prerequisite for sanity. It is the space where they can finally take off the heavy, ill-fitting costume of the normal person and exist in the naked, authentic reality of their own consciousness. In this solitude, they are not doing nothing. They are engaged in their primary and most vital work, the processing of the world. They are taking the chaotic, overwhelming flood of data they have absorbed from their time in the external world, and they are slowly, meticulously weaving it into the vast, ordered tapestry of their inner understanding. They are rereading the book of their own experience, finding the themes, the foreshadowing, the hidden subplots. This is a process that cannot be rushed, and it cannot be done in the presence of others. It requires a silence and a stillness that the modern world has all but declared illegal. This is why the deep thinker so often appears detached or in their own world. They are, and their world is not a barren wasteland. It is a rich, teeming, and infinitely complex ecosystem. They have a profound and intimate relationship with the contents of their own mind, with their ideas, their theories, their visions, their inner archetypal figures. To the extroverted world, which defines reality by the consensus of the tribe, this can look like madness. But for the deep thinker, this inner world is the source of their stability, their meaning, and their very life. Their solitude is not an emptiness, it is a profound and radical fullness. They are disappearing from the social world because they are busy tending to the vast and sacred garden of their own soul. The tyranny of the underdeveloped function, the Achilles heel of the thinker. This powerful inward orientation, however, comes with a great and terrible danger. Jung's model of the psyche is one of balance. For every dominant, highly developed function, there is an opposing, inferior function that remains largely unconscious, primitive, and undeveloped. For the introverted, intuitive, deep thinker, the inferior function is often extroverted sensation. Extroverted sensation is the function of engaging with the physical, tangible, here and now reality of the world. It is the joy of the senses, the thrill of physical action, the grounded, practical reality of the body and its environment. For the deep thinker who lives in a timeless, abstract world of patterns and ideas, this function is often a source of profound fear and incompetence. Their relationship with the physical world can be clumsy, awkward, and deeply anxious. They can be the brilliant professor who cannot figure out how to operate a simple appliance, the visionary artist who lives in a state of chaotic squalor, the profound philosopher who is chronically out of touch with the needs of their own body. This is the great and tragic irony of the deep thinker. They may have a map of the entire cosmos in their mind, but they are often unable to navigate their own kitchen. Their immense competence in the world of ideas is balanced by an equally immense incompetence in the world of practical, embodied reality. This is not a personal failing, it is a structural feature of their psychic architecture. If this inferior function is not consciously and respectfully engaged with, it will erupt from the shadow, in Jung's terminology, in destructive and compulsive ways. This is where you see the deep thinker falling into periods of extreme sensual indulgence, binge eating, excessive drinking, compulsive sexual behavior. This is the starved inferior function crying out for attention, trying to drag the disembodied mind back down to the reality of the earth. You also see it in a profound and debilitating hypochondria, a constant, anxious scanning of the body for signs of illness. This is the mind's terrified and distorted way of trying to connect with a body it has long since abandoned. The failure to honor the inferior function is the primary reason why so many brilliant thinkers fail to manifest their vision in the world. Their vision remains a disembodied ghost, a magnificent platonic form, with no connection to the messy, imperfect world of matter. They cannot handle the details, the logistics, the boring, practical work that is required to bring an idea to life. Their potential remains forever trapped in the pristine, perfect, and sterile world of their own minds. The path to realizing their potential is not to think more deeply, but to have the immense courage to become more superficial, more grounded, more embodied. It is the terrifying journey of leaving the clean, ordered library of the mind and stepping into the muddy, chaotic, and vibrant garden of the real world. The sacred task, individuation and the union of opposites. What then is the ultimate purpose of this strange and difficult psychological makeup? Is the deep thinker doomed to a life of brilliant but impotent alienation? Jung's answer is a resounding no. The ultimate goal of the psyche, he argued, is not to remain in a one-sided state of perfection, but to achieve a state of dynamic, paradoxical wholeness. The sacred task of the deep thinker is to build a bridge between the vast, timeless world of their inner vision and the concrete, time-bound world of everyday reality. This is the heroic work of individuation. This work requires a conscious descent. The deep thinker must be willing to turn their powerful, analytical gaze away from the grand patterns of the world and onto the humble, often disappointing reality of their own life. They must engage with their own undeveloped functions, their own clumsy, awkward, and inferior parts. They must be willing to be a beginner, to be incompetent, to fail. The philosopher must learn to garden. The visionary must learn to balance a checkbook. The mystic must learn to engage in the messy, imperfect art of human relationship. This is an act of profound humility. It is the ego's surrender to the wisdom of the self, the organizing intelligence that is calling for wholeness. As the deep thinker begins to honor the demands of the real, tangible world, a miraculous transformation occurs. Their vision does not disappear, it becomes grounded. Their ideas are no longer disembodied ghosts, they acquire flesh and bone. The raw, prophetic power of their introverted intuition is now connected to the practical, world-building capacity of their other functions. This is the birth of the true visionary in the most complete sense of the word. They are not just the person who can see the future, they are the person who can build a bridge to it. They can translate their vast, complex, and often incommunicable inner vision into a language that the world can understand, into a form that the world can use. The artist begins to finish their paintings. The philosopher writes the book that changes the conversation. The quiet analyst develops the social and emotional wisdom to become a truly transformative leader. They do not achieve this by abandoning their depth. They achieve it by uniting their depth with the surface. They learn to live in two worlds at once, to be the cosmic traveler who is also a grounded, embodied, and effective human being. They have healed the primary schism within their own soul, the schism between the abstract and the concrete, the timeless and the timely, the mind and the body. And in doing so, they become a living bridge for the entire culture, a channel through which the forgotten wisdom of the depths can flow back into a world that is dying of a thirst for meaning. The psychology of the deep thinker is not a curse, it is a high and difficult calling. If you are one of them, you must understand that your path is not the path of the majority. You must have the courage to honor your own unique and often inconvenient nature. You must protect your solitude as you would protect a sacred temple. You must trust the slow, deep, and often invisible process of your own mind, but you must also have the humility to engage with the world you so often wish to transcend. You must be willing to get your hands dirty, to be clumsy, to be imperfect. Your task is not to escape the world, but to incarnate your vision within it. The world does not need another clever critic, another disembodied prophet. It is waiting for you to do the hard, sacred work of building a ladder between heaven and earth, between the vast, silent world of your inner vision and the beautiful, broken, and desperately needy world we all must share.